President Trump and New York Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani are set to meet at the White House today. Here's what the press secretary had to say about the meeting.
It speaks volumes that tomorrow we have a communist coming to the White House because that's who the Democrat Party elected as the mayor of the largest city in the country. I think it's very telling, but I also think it speaks to the fact that President Trump is willing to meet with anyone and talk to anyone and to try to do what's right on behalf of the American people.
President Trump confirmed the meeting via a Truth Social post. Mamdani has already sparred publicly with Trump, who has threatened to reduce federal funding to the city. The mayor-elect described the meeting as customary at a press conference yesterday. He also said his team arranged the meeting. Mamdani and Trump are both from Queens and have spent months publicly criticizing each other. Trump has repeatedly called Mamdani a communist due to his professed affinity for democratic socialism and threatened to withhold federal funds from the city's government if Mamdani seeks to implement some of his campaign promises. Mamdani has attacked Trump's initiatives during his second term, including his effort to remove illegal immigrants from the United States. And during an interview at the Brian Kilmeade show on Fox Radio this morning, President Trump says his meeting with Mamdani this afternoon will be open to the press. Now with us now and everything we can expect from today's meeting is political strategist and attorney Gerard Filitti. Gerard, great to see you. Good morning. Thanks for coming on. Gerard, it seems like the ICE operations and the removal of illegal immigrants from New York City will be front and center today. Here's Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, just this week.
New York City, I plan on being in New York City in the near future. We're going to do operations in New York City. We know in New York City, me and Mayor Adams at one point had an agreement to let ICE into Rikers Island so we can arrest the public safety threats and the safety and security of that facility, but the city council shut it down.
So, Gerard, the city's current mayor, Eric Adams, was cooperating with ICE to some extent. How much does ICE need the city's support, and is it likely to get it under Mamdani?
It's always beneficial for ICE to have a city's support. That way it can do its job more efficiently and without the protests that we've seen in cities across the country. Unfortunately, I don't think that we will see any cooperation from Mayor-elect Mamdani. He has explicitly said that he does not endorse or will not help with any type of immigration crackdown. So I think we will see ICE, we will see the Department of Homeland Security come and be more involved in New York City, but without the cooperation of the city.
We saw post-election, Mamdani was asked about his message to ICE. Here's what he said.
My message to ICE agents and to everyone across this city is that everyone will be held to the same standard of the law. If you violate the law, you must be held accountable. And there is sadly a sense that is growing across this country that certain people are allowed to violate that law, whether they be the president or whether they be the agents themselves.
George, you may remember before the election, Mamdani said he won't allow ICE agents into New York City schools or businesses without a warrant signed by a judge. Does Mamdani have the power to do that, and will that stifle the Trump administration?
Well, first, it's truly ironic that he is saying that some people are getting away with not following the law when exactly that is the issue with illegal immigrations. They are not following the law and are in this country illegally, yet that is the group that Mamdani is looking to support and protect from enforcement. What Mamdani can do is he can instruct city organizations, city officials, city employees not to cooperate without a warrant or without a judicial determination. But at the end of the day, he cannot stop, he cannot prevent federal agents from enforcing federal immigration law. So he can speak all he wants and not cooperate, but he cannot actively protect people by obstructing justice. That would expose him to criminal liability.
It seems to have irked the president somewhat. The president has threatened to cut federal funding to the city. It seems like he may have some leverage. Here's a look at some of the major federally supported projects that are ongoing in New York City. We have an overhaul of Penn Station. We have the Gateway Tunnel between New York and New Jersey and the 2nd Avenue subway. And Gerard, as Trump put it to President Zelensky of Ukraine a while back, who's holding the cards here when it comes to funding and policy?
Well, there is significant power that President Trump has over this federal funding that is going to New York City. And if Mamdani wants to have the cooperation of the federal government, then he cannot just refuse and obstruct everything that President Trump wants, especially in terms of law enforcement. And we have to remember Mamdani is in a bit of a bind because all of the free programs that he's offered to his voters need to be paid for somehow. And if he doesn't have the funds to pay for infrastructure projects or to keep New York City running as it currently is, where is he going to come up with the money for these new funds, for these new ideas? So Mamdani has to show that he can actually govern, and that means compromising with President Trump and with Albany, not just saying that he will only do what he wants to do.
Well, on that topic of cooperating and finding common ground, Mamdani said he'll meet with anyone to fix what he called the cost of living problem in New York City. This is a major issue for Trump, too. So is there room for cooperation here, or are the political ideologies too far apart?
There's always room for political cooperation, especially when you're looking at housing and how new housing is built, whether regulations are too tight and need to be loosened a little to allow builders, to allow developers to come in with new projects and make housing more affordable. That's something that the president and Mayor-elect Mamdani can cooperate on. But at the end of the day, they have starkly different views of the economy. Mamdani seems to think that he can pay for everything by taxing people more, but the reality is that that doesn't work. When you tax people more, they leave, and then you're even in worse financial situations than you already are. So there is room for the government to work together, but Mamdani's overall vision of socialism is not something that is economically viable in New York City.
Do you feel that Mamdani has promised to, as he called it, tax the rich, tax the millionaires? Do you see Trump potentially looking to step in there and prevent tax increases on the wealthy in New York City?
Well, it's very hard for Mamdani to unilaterally increase taxes. In fact, he can't do it. He needs either the city council, but more realistically, he needs the state of New York to agree to increase taxes. He cannot just do it alone. Whether President Trump steps in or not, he doesn't really need to at this point anyway, because Mamdani has a high threshold to meet in order to successfully get higher taxes imposed. That's not something he can just do with the signature of his pen. So President Trump has a lot of cards here to play, but so does Albany and so do taxpayers, quite frankly.
Do you think Trump's major concern is immigration over anything else?
I think Trump's major concern is safety, is public safety and affordability in New York City. And public safety we have all seen going downhill over the last few years, especially with nonstop protests and riots. There was even a protest this week in front of a synagogue that Mayor-elect Mamdani supported. He found no problem with people voicing their concern or their objection. They're protesting Jews going to a synagogue to pray. So I think with President Trump, he's looking at public safety in New York and saying that more needs to be done, whether it's enforcing a crackdown on illegal immigration or law and order, having National Guard come in. But also at the same time, New York City needs to be made more affordable, and that's not going to happen if you increase taxes and drive away businesses and property owners and taxpayers.
So we're talking cost of living. They're on the same page in this. Mamdani has said, although you've raised a couple of points here with protests, that public safety is something he's concerned about, he's looking at. Do you feel that conservative fears about Mamdani are justified or overblown?
I think there's reason to be suspicious about what Mamdani will do when he's actually in office. Now that he's won and he is the mayor-elect, he is still not showing that he has a grasp of reality and how to govern. He still seems to be campaigning and using slogans instead of actual messaging and explaining how he will implement his ideas. So there is a cause by all New Yorkers to be concerned, quite frankly, that he has overpromised and he's continuing to use rhetoric that's divisive instead of coming up with actual ways to implement his many ideas.
Gerard Filitti, I'm sure you'll be watching the meeting later today. We'll have you back for your assessment. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm sure we'll see fireworks today.